these files were made up by Comey. They were made up by Obama. They were made up by the Biden we went through years of that with the Russia hoax, with all of the different things that we had to go through. We've gone through years of it, but she's handled it very well, and it's going to be up to her. Whatever she thinks is credible, she should release. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's all we're actually hearing about lately on the news over here in the United States is what's going on with Epstein and the MAGA brawl that's been taking place. And Trump has had quite a last 3 or 4 days getting into really ticking off the entire conservative right, known as the Make a Great America movement, that is responsible for, putting Donald Trump into office. That little statement there is where we began a little bit near the beginning of the week, when Trump was indicating that after all this back and forth and after his statements, that it seems like anything that was legitimate that the Attorney General could sift through, that he would indeed allow to be released. However, as the week went on, things definitely progressed. In a recent Truth Social post, former President Trump shared his thoughts with followers, garnishing over 130,000 views. The post, made on July 16th, sparked significant engagement. Trump continues to utilize social media to communicate directly with his supporters, emphasizing the ongoing influence in the political landscape. I don't know if that's the best idea, but as you see on screen here, he's saying that it's all about Russia, 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 totally fake and a made-up story. He says that. Just 1 second here. He says that Russia scam itself, totally fake and a made-up story. 1 second, I gotta stop this scrolling here.
Yeah. So if I may, brother Matt, what he's saying is he's trying to equate the Steele dossier, Russia hoax, and he's trying to link these Epstein files with some kind of democratic scheme to dismantle the MAGA people and split us up and all of that. And it's really a fumble, in my opinion, by Donald Trump. I think Donald Trump is really just not reading his base very well.
Well, look at this language, like a fumble.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, this is a kick to the gut. I mean, if we're scrolling down to the bottom of this guy here, it says, yes, their new scam is what we'll forever call the Jeffrey Epstein hoax. And my past supporters have brought into this BS hook, line, and sinker.
Past supporters. Okay, look, I know we're going to talk a little bit about, maybe later on, maybe we need to talk about it now. I don't know, about Donald Trump actually getting diagnosed with some kind of chronic illness. Maybe he's on some medication right now and he's just not thinking right. I mean, that's what I want to think about this, right? I want to think that
sounds like
Donald
inflammation
Trump
is the details.
Yeah, Donald Trump has some, he's clouded right now. His judgment is a little clouded, maybe, perhaps. Maybe we're seeing a little bit of cognitive decline, perhaps. I mean, I know he is up there in age.
Look at this.
But
let these weaklings continue forward and do the Democrats' work. Don't even think about the talking of our incredible and unprecedented success. And now that would be okay if he was talking about the fake news. He's always addressed the fake news this aggressively, but he's actually talking about the supporters. And I'm trying to make excuses for Donald and all of this. And I'd like to think he's talking about the social media pundits, the ones that are keeping this at the very top, of the news headlines, and so on and so forth.
The Benny Johnsons.
Maybe he's talking about Fox News. But it feels like he's talking about the individual supporters is the problem from the language of this post. And of course, there's been all kinds of discussions as whether he's really writing these himself. And I mean, we've never been led to believe before that it wasn't Trump himself writing these himself, or at least dictating them to someone who's typing it in on his phone. And the very idea that he's trying to sell, it's not being bought by anybody. And it's like that, leading to incredible levels of fatigue regarding this discussion. And for me in particular, it's led me to a place where my hands are just up in the air, and I'm sort of giving blanket default trust to Donald Trump to see what's going on here. Meanwhile, Representative Thomas Massey, he has filed a petition, and this petition to force the Epstein files release. So Representative Massey of Kentucky, he's announced a discharge petition aimed at forcing a vote on the release of the complete Jeffrey Epstein files. This happened on the 15th, and as Massey expressed...
Oh, sorry about that. As he expressed...
Hold on 1 second here. I don't know what, you just cleared something off the screen.
Sorry.
Anyhow, so Massey's going to be collecting signatures in just 7 days, needing a total of 218 to compel the House to vote. This initiative arises amid speculation that Attorney General Pam Bondi may not release critical documents.
I actually hope that he does. I think this would be great. And you know, like going back to the Trump thing, Brother Matt, like, you know, like one thing I want to say is that like I support Donald Trump. I voted for Donald Trump. I believe that Donald Trump, God spared his life for a reason. Okay. And obviously, I think that reason is he is doing very good things. But let's be honest here. People were anointed in the Bible that didn't exactly live up to everything that they were supposed to do. You know, I think of people like Saul. Saul was anointed by God, and he fumbled severely. You know, then you have people like David, who was anointed by God, who committed every sin under the sun by taking the wife of Uriah the Hittite, Bathsheba. You know, you have people like Hezekiah, the most righteous king in the Bible. And, you know, the Bible said that there would be no other king like him. And that there was none before him, nor none after him, and that he was just a righteous king. But even he fumbled the ball within his, you know, his kingship. So, like, I do, in some sense, I still support Donald Trump. And if I had to vote for him again, I would do it again. If he were to run for presidency again, I would probably still vote for Donald Trump again.
Of course, Donald's the man. It's just that he's got us in this situation where we don't know what's up or down anymore. And of course, we give him the benefit of doubt as much as we possibly can. But you know, what everyone's bringing to the table is none of this is making any sense because his own administration, you know, whether from Bongino to Kash Patel to Pam Bondi, that it's been this giant mess of making us think we're getting the Epstein files to say we're not going to do it. And it looks like he was about to give in, okay? Because you started to see all of this ruckus happening where Bongino was saying and Cash was saying that if Pam Bondi doesn't leave and get out of there, then he's going to be leaving. So we started to see the motions that was happening while it was that turning point. We started to think that that was going to be the excuse then for him to say, sorry guys, it's all Pam Bondi's fault, and follow that political operandi like they usually do, to have to cut someone's head off and say they were responsible, throw them under the bus. Well, then he made an about turn from that, made another Truth Social post saying that he's incredibly pleased with Pam Bondi. So it's been a bunch of and I don't know if he's intentionally trying to wear us down, because I just don't think that he's capable of making these type of mistakes unless they're calculated. So it just leads me to believe that he's doing some sort of like game of showing who's in charge over the social media influencers whom think that they can keep something in the headlines for as much as they want. But for me, the opposite of thing has taken place, because actually, for me, that's exactly what's taking place, because he's wearing me down so much that it's causing me to have my true colors come out, and where it basically is causing me to say, do I trust him or do I not trust him? Because I'm so sick of everything. I'm at the phase where it's like, okay, I want to tune out, and I'm just like, all right, fine, man. You're going to do what you're going to do. I'm not siding with all these social media influencers and all of these mainstream news, and certainly not the people on the left. I'm siding with you, and I don't know if that is his goal or not. But it just seems like it's a real big mess. And you know, and furthermore, in discussing that, we've got this thing where the left as well as the right are doing things like Thomas Massey introducing a bill. Well, there's also GOP senators that were introducing a bill. Senate Republicans are distancing themselves from the growing controversy surrounding President Trump and convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. As of the 15th, senators are under pressure from MAGA activists demanding transparency regarding Epstein's alleged clients. And despite the DOJ and the FBI's memo stating that there is no incriminating client list, figures like Attorney Pam Bondi are facing scrutiny. Senate Majority Leader John Thune emphasized that the matter lies with the DOJ and with the FBI, while Trump himself expressed frustration over the ongoing focus on Epstein, stating, this guy's been talked about for years. So it's really out of focus. And then when we look at what the Republicans are doing, Republican lawmakers have moved to block a Democratic effort aimed at releasing the so-called Epstein files. This is coming after the White House handling of the documents related to Jeffrey Epstein were just a complete mess. Led by California Congressman Ro Khanna, he sought to amend the cryptocurrency legislation to mandate the release of evidence from Epstein's 2019 child sex trafficking case. However, the Republicans, including Trump's Attorney General Pam Bondi, voted down the amendment, claiming Epstein's death was a suicide and that the evidence would not be released. And obviously, that's just causing uproar all over the place. So even as people within the House are trying to create bills that are going to force his hand, everything is absolutely being stopped. And then we also have more drama happening when House Democrats are intensifying their calls for the release of the Epstein files, which that we would expect to have a negative attitude towards. Representative Mark Vesey of Texas, he vowed to introduce legislation demanding transparency. And Vesey stated either President Trump and his acolytes fueled the rumors of the significance of the Epstein files to help his campaign, or something is there. Meanwhile, Representative Khanna of California is set to introduce the amendment to force a vote on the matter. And the idea that this is causing a rift in the GOP and in MAGA is already self-declared. And then we've got Representative Tim Burchett, who's on the news talking with this type of language.
Should there be an investigation or a special counsel investigation?
I don't know. I'm not an attorney. I just find them guilty and hang them publicly. I mean, that's not over the top either. I'm ready. I'm over it. It disgusts me.
That's
I'm
it.
big on clarity and transparency, and that's good reason people don't trust government, either party.
But you don't believe what the Justice Department is saying?
I don't know. No, I don't. I don't trust them.
Bro, like this guy right here, dude, Tim Burchett, dude. We should publicly hang them. I was actually talking about I think I was talking to my wife and somebody else or somebody else, I can't remember. But we were talking about in the old days when they would do a public hanging, right? Even to people's surprise, people probably don't realize George Washington, the very first president of the United States, when he was fighting the American Revolutionary War, when he was dealing with people that didn't want to fight or people that would leave the battlefield when they were supposed to be serving, you know what he did? He did a public execution, and it whipped people into shape. It put the fear into people. And so, people don't want to talk about that about George Washington, right? Founding father of the nation, did public executions. But I'm not saying that we do that for our military or anything like that. But I mean, if you do treasonous acts, if there's
hang them. We just want them. We just want to know their names at this point. You know what I mean? Hanging.
PDF files. I mean, look, Matt. I mean, look. You know what Trump is missing here? It's not about Epstein. It's not about Epstein. When
I don't
he
think
says
he's missing it at all.
No. He was like, what? The guys still thinking about this creep? This guy has been dead for years. Bro, Donald, DJT. It's not about Epstein. It's about the victims. It's about the pedophiles that are still alive, that are just wandering around without accountability. And it's about justice. Christians, We want justice. We love justice. You know who else loves justice? Jesus Christ. And he's going to give justice. This is why we want justice. We should be a country that loves justice. And that's what we want. It's not about Epstein. It's about justice being rightfully served. And I applaud Tim Burchett for saying that. I mean, I think Tim Burchett is right there. I think that's what he's talking about. Serving justice.
Everyone's articulating it the right way. We couldn't be any more outspoken, and it's not like there's a division within MAGA influencers or MAGA reporters, MAGA media. We're all saying the same thing, which is exactly that point. The point being that this is about exposing the deep state. This isn't even about it. And he's saying these nonsensical things as if we all think it's about Jeffrey Epstein and him being a sicko. I mean, it's gaslighting to like the third degree. And for
man, gaslighting your own people.
Yeah, I mean, and the rumors have been all over the place. People trying to make excuses for what's going on with Trump, and I think that some of that is accurate, accurate speculations. Here, let's play the video real quick from Trump, so talking about Pam Bondi some more.
Epstein case. Do you agree with her, sir?
The Attorney General's handled that very well. She's really done a very good job. And I think that when you look at it, you'll understand that. I would like to see that also. But I think the Attorney General, the credibility is very important.
Look at what? He ain't showing us nothing.
You want credible evidence for something like that. And I think the Attorney General's handled it very well.
How many more?
Dude, I mean, look, he has to say that. Okay? He has to support his people. He chose them. He shielded for them. He advocated for them.
Bro, but get this.
And so,
Barron
he doesn't
want
to.
I don't want to stop you, but Barron posted on Facebook, which is a verified Barron's account. He posted this AI video of Pam Bondi getting the boot, okay, and like Apprentice style, "You're fired," and then walking out through the door. And I commented on the post, and I said, this is like 2 days ago. I commented on the post, and I said, "Oh, that's not cool. This is not funny. Pam Bondi is just a scapegoat, and she's an American patriot, right?" And then Barron liked my reply. And then he deleted the post, and then that very same evening is when Trump was saying, what about my boys and my girls that are getting on Pam Bondi's case? That I like her and she's not going anywhere. So it's very obvious that there's been, like, they don't have a strategy per se, unless their strategy is trying to wear us out. Unless their strategy is chaos, they're changing their mind with the winds. And from Alex Jones to Judge Napolitano, everyone's thinking the worst. Like, you couldn't possibly make it look like you have incriminating on yourself any more than you actually do. Sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah. No, it's okay. It's just he's missing their base. He's just not getting right. He's not getting it right. This is a big fumble.
Yeah. And then
yeah.
Obviously, when it comes to the Elon, we wouldn't expect a whole lot of him because we've seen we've seen him lose it over the past couple of weeks, but maybe he was right. He's the first one that said the reason why you haven't seen the Epstein files is because Donald Trump is on it.
Trump's
on.
Yeah.
So Elon's just been all over the place, blasting Trump all throughout the week, tweet after tweet after tweet. And
the thing about it is, though, Matt, is that, like, look, I think we all know that Trump's name is going to be somewhere on there. Okay, and I don't think that's the problem. I don't think that's the issue. If Trump was actually a client, then that would be an issue. That's definitely an issue. Okay, but I don't even think he was a client. I just don't see it, because if he was a client, why? I mean, Joe Biden would have jumped on it. Hillary Clinton would have jumped on it. I mean, we would have known that. That would have been a November surprise or October surprise 3 times over. And so the fact that they didn't do that, Donald Trump is one of the most vetted people in the United States in politics.
I agree.
So if they had,
because he's been so attacked,
him,
that's how he's vetted,
yeah,
right? Because he's been so under attack.
They would have had every chance to use this against him. So I don't think that Donald Trump is on the client list. But sure, is he on the files? Yeah,
But here's the thing, Alex. What did they suggest? What did Donald suggest? Okay, Donald suggested that This is the same people who brought you, the whatchamacallit laptop and Russia. He's saying that Comey is responsible during the era when all of this stuff came to the future. So I think what they're finding is that they had added stuff to these files, right? So they've planted evidence within the Epstein files that probably really does implicate Trump in a harsh way. And if you look back at Trump's personality, the guy who coming down the elevator was talking in that Access Hollywood interview where grab him by the, and 2 divorces behind him, being featured in all of the clubs for so many years. He's not hiding the fact that he was a ladies' man and he was a club guy and that he was, I guess in the worldly terms you call a regular dude. I almost said womanizer, but he was a guy that would pride himself in his count, if you know what I mean. Okay,
sure.
Like we all know those guys, right? I sort of used to be one of them. So this fits his MO of someone that could have legitimately been hoodwinked, saying by someone he's not buying it, right? He's not he doesn't have to pay for sex per se, but someone who within his field of influence could offer somebody up, that was perhaps underage and that he, did participate with and then be able to get him, blackmailed. So it's not without thought. So both legitimately, he literally could be a person that was caught in the honey trap, right? And then secondly, he could be somebody that got set up by them putting information into the files. Either way, the way that he's handling it is just insane because, Alex, now we're turning to Ghislaine Maxwell, right? And she's getting her opportunity. And after seeing how P. Diddy just basically got off on the 3 of 6 charges, that was a nothing burger. Was that a whole media distraction? Was that intentional? Was that just to let our hopes up and then have them completely be destroyed? Look at this one with Ghislaine Maxwell. Ghislaine Maxwell's family released the statement saying that she didn't get a fair trial. Look at this thing. Yeah, our sister Ghislaine Maxwell did not receive a fair trial. Her legal team continues to fight her case in the courts and will file its reply in short order to the government's opposition in the U.S. Supreme Court. If necessary, in due course, they will also file a writ of habeas corpus to the U.S. District Court. So on and so forth. So the fact that the family is coming out with this at this particular time, it's an illustration that they think that this is the strike while the iron is hot, while there's media attention, and while all the attention is being deflected on this MAGA movement. And then, we've been saying forever, not we as in Faith the Nation, but the mainstream pundits in the conservative right have been saying that Epstein was what? That he was like an operative of Israel.
Mossad. Yeah, Mossad agent or CIA agent, but specifically Mossad because Epstein obviously is a Jewish last name. And this was obviously something that Israel wanted to respond on. And so you had Naftali Bennett as a former Israeli prime minister with the Mossad having reported directly to me. I say to you with 100% certainty, the accusation that Jeffrey Epstein somehow worked for Israel or the Mossad running a blackmail ring is categorically and totally false. Of course, is this something that we actually believe? Or, is this something that we just assume that, they're telling the truth or we just outright reject it? I mean, if you're in the conspiracy realm, you're not going to believe somebody that's a former Israeli prime minister. You're just not going to believe them, right? I mean, why would they tell you if he was Mossad? They're not going to tell
by Trump at the cabinet meeting when someone asked the Attorney General an innocent question about an obvious question about how this Epstein imbroglio had suddenly burst upon them, and Trump intervening in that
Dude, that guy looks asleep, bro.
asinine way,
George Galloway,
saying I can't believe people are still talking about Jeffrey Epstein when he and his...
I wouldn't go that far, Alex, because I think Napolitano must have had a stroke or something.
Oh, well, he just looks asleep. I'm sorry, man. If he had a stroke, I'm sorry.
I don't know. I don't know if that's the case, but that was my suspicion when I saw something like that. It has to be the case.
Whole MAGA movement never stopped talking about Jeffrey Epstein. What changed, do you think?
He looks like a character from like Sesame Street, dude.
Evidence bundle that persuaded them not to proceed.
I think that I'm going to tell you exactly what I think. I think Trump's name is on the list. I think Mossad knows it. I think Mossad told their American stenographer, who happens to be the director of the CIA, who takes down and regurgitates everything Mossad told him. And I think that stenographer whispered it into the president's ear. And he's terrified that this will come out because he knows it will be the beginning of the end, whether there's a Republican Congress or a Democrat Congress. That's what I honestly believe has happened. Now, obviously, I haven't seen the files. Government, that's how highly the government regards him on the time, place, and manner.
Now he's talking about the autopsy.
Death in either a wrongful death or a murder case. Dr. Bodden was hired by...
Yeah, just intervene for a second because I sort of cut maybe prematurely. We'll resume that. But so what do you think of Napolitano?
Well, he said. Well, first off, he said that he hasn't seen the files, so he just thinks that Donald Trump is on the list. I mean, it's just speculative at that point for him.
It is, but we all think that. Isn't that what you're thinking? I'm thinking
that he's in the files. I think we have to make sure that we differentiate between what is the files and what is the list, right? The list, the Rolodex, the black book, so to speak, the client list, the ones that were actually flying to the island but
that's public record. That's been public record. That's stuff that has been out now for good 6-7 years. So we know obviously.
Yeah, and Trump isn't on them.
But we know that isn't it. He is in the flight logs, and we do
know
not
to the island.
Right, but I'm saying that that's not the information that they're trying to hide, right? Like we're not concerned that he's going to be finding these type of details. I mean, I don't think that's what it's about. The idea is that they've got damning evidence on him. There's only a few things people are thinking. So they think that he's being blackmailed by somebody else, like they're going to kill him, right? And by that token, that he's not actually on the list, but we'll kill you anyways if you release it because you're going to be exposing us. Or they think that he's incriminated, like is what Elon told us, that he's incriminated on the list, or whatever you want to call it, by whatever files would come out would lead to uproar against him that he couldn't navigate or wasn't already on the record. Or this idea that Alex had posited that he's using the blackmail files in order to the Epstein files in order to blackmail the deep state, right? Such as what we saw with the change of heart, the European Union, and how they've changed their tune within the past couple of weeks. Of course, there's an unlimited list of options of what's going on here. Well,
all the speculation would just end if it was just released, or whatever you can release. And so, now, Trump is, I heard that he's actually recently embracing a special prosecutor to actually investigate the, this Epstein file, whether or not it actually happens or not. I mean, Trump has been, and the administration has been so wishy-washy and so double-sided on this, double-minded even. And what does the Bible say? Double-minded man is unstable, is on his ways. Like
he's manufacturing double-mindedness in in us.
Well, first one day they say, when the administration first got kicked off back in February, Pam Bondi said that the files were on her desk. She was specifically asked about the client list. Okay, she was about the client list, not the files, but the client list. And she said, yes, they are sitting on my desk to be reviewed. Then all of a sudden, a couple weeks ago on a Sunday night at about 9 o'clock, we just so happened to be going live at that time, that the DOJ had dropped the news that there was no client list, and that Epstein really did kill himself. And so, people like Dan Bongino has been saying, "Don't let this go. We can't let this go. This is so big. We cannot let this go." And now he works for the DOJ and the FBI, Deputy Director of the FBI, Dan Bongino. You have Kash Patel saying that there's a list and that we need to put these guys in jail. You have Don Jr., who's been saying that there's a list and we need to hold these guys accountable. Why? Because they were going to throw his father in jail. So he wants to throw those guys in jail, right? And so we've been told for the past several years talking about this, right? Even during Donald Trump's first presidential run, talking about putting Hillary Clinton in jail, right? And then saying that Bill Clinton had a problem with that island. We all know what he was alluding to. And it's like, that's what we want. If Bill Clinton's on the list, let us see it. We need to see it.
Bro,
he has to be held accountable.
But I've listened to every social media commentator, right, has been making videos about Epstein. So much so, like this segment for which I was taking notes for, it's like exasperating. Everybody's got the same opinions. There's no creativity in the exploring of all this, But it all it's doing is it's causing us to say over and over and over all of the reasons why we think that Epstein wasn't murdered in the first place, bringing up all of the circumstantial evidence and defeating Trump's proposition that we're looking at this. Let's finish up the this clip here, because what was going on is Bowden is Judge Matalapano. He was talking about Dr. Bowden. Where concerns are raised regarding the original government's autopsy findings by Dr. Bowden, who he's a guy who frequently testifies for the government, and he was asserting that Epstein's injuries could not have been self-inflicted, claiming that it defies the laws of physics. And that assertion, obviously was raising all kinds of questions about the circumstances surrounding Epstein's death. So let's resume that clip and let Napolitano explain it.
Epstein's relatives, his family, to investigate his death, to perform another autopsy, and to examine the reports of the original government autopsy. And Michael Baden, the doctor the government trusts, has said it is impossible for him to have suffered the injuries he suffered by his own hand. It is against the laws of physics. It could only have been done by an outside force. That's what this 1 minute is hiding, what the outside force was. It was probably the same sophisticated people who compiled the list and who are threatening Trump. They know how to kill. They know how to kill quietly, quietly, effectively, and quickly. I'm sure that that's how it was done. I shouldn't say sure. I am confident that that's how it was done.
Dude, that guy looks like a Sesame Street character, bro.
But that's not his fault. There's something going on. So yeah, let's.
God forgive me, Lord forgive me.
Let's skip ahead to the special prosecutor. So Donald Trump has embraced the FBI's decision to investigate the alleged intelligence abuses spanning from the 2016 to 2024. During an interview the other day, Trump expressed support for a special prosecutor to lead this inquiry, which may also include the controversial Epstein case. He emphasized the need for transparency and accountability, stating, "I think they could look at all of it. It's all the same scam." Trump plans to declassify 2 critical intelligence documents relating to the FBI's handling of the Hillary Clinton email investigation and the origins of the Russia probe, which he claims will reveal significant misconduct. And he criticized everybody for failing to unite on these issues, asserting if you don't have a fair and free voting, you don't have a country. So the special prosecutor idea is out there. We just don't know if it's actually going to happen. And to really top this off, we have the news that the person that we've been hearing that is connected to Comey being, what is it here, his daughter? Yeah.
His
the daughter
daughter
of James Comey is finally getting fired. Maureen Comey, a prominent prosecutor in high-profile cases, including those of Diddy and Epstein and Maxwell, has been fired from her position, finally, as the Manhattan U.S. Attorney's Office. That decision was confirmed just earlier yesterday. Comey, who is the daughter of FBI Director James Comey, informed of her termination by the Executive Office for the U.S. Attorneys. The reason behind her dismissal is obvious.
I don't know why she wasn't. Yeah, I don't know why she wasn't let go
months ago.
Yeah, like what's taking you so long, bro? It's crazy, craziness, craziness. So, let me just say my last thoughts on this whole Epstein thing. When it comes to Donald Trump, again, I just want to say I support Donald Trump still. I think this is definitely a very big fumble, on his side with the administration. It's just very odd how it's being handled, and it. Number one, we just lost a lot of trust in that. And I'm not saying that we put all of our trust, in a man or anything like that, but I'm talking about a worldly thing. Obviously, we know where our trust ultimately lies. It lies in Christ. It lies in what Jesus did for us on the cross. So when we say that we lost trust for someone like a Donald Trump, or we're losing trust in the Trump administration, like, don't take that where it doesn't need to go. But let's be real. Like, obviously, we were wanting to see people being held accountable for the heinous crimes against child, you name it, child sex schemes, whatever they were doing, man. We want justice to be served. And if that meant that a Bill Clinton or an Obama or whoever, Bill Gates, whoever was, to be held accountable, then so be it. Because we don't want these types of things going on in our country. Nor should we want it anywhere in the world. But what do we have control of? We should be able to have control over what happens in our country. And so we don't want that stuff happening. We want these people to be held accountable. That's what the Epstein files is really about. It's not about Epstein anymore. It's about justice being served. We desire to see justice truly served. And the more that this Epstein thing goes on, and this debacle and this fumble that's happened by the Trump administration, the more, God is ministering to me, and I think he should be ministering to us all, those who believe in Christ, that we should know that we can never truly trust a worldly government, and that the only person that we can truly trust to administer real justice, unadulterated justice, is going to be the Lord. And so, we're gonna thank God on that day when justice is truly served. And it's moments like these where we desire justice, we don't see it in the world, and when we read in the Bible how God is going to administer justice, I can only imagine on that day when the Lord returns and justice is truly served, how the saints are going to react, because we desire justice and we will see it served one day.
Yeah, and this is on the heels of the whole Israel-Iran thing that we were just also had our Trump meter going all over the place, So we literally were fatigued to death about that, starting off saying that oh, we don't know what I was saying that I didn't know whether he should be doing that. I was having distrust in Israel, and then that turned out into to be this major win, in my view, at least for Trump, as Iran did that little fake retaliation on the bases, and it seems like that whole situation was closed out, and we wanted to just have the win and be able to run with it, but instead now we've got this major L hitting us in the face because of Epstein, and in this case, it's like Trump is the only one that can be to blame, and there's just so much going on with with people who are paying attention to the news every day that you couldn't have any more of an explanation just to stop watching the news altogether, and but just put your faith in Christ and Christ alone, and don't even care about the United States actually being restored, because it's not healthy paying attention to all this stuff day in, day out. I'll tell you that much. It's an emotional roller coaster. Trying to decide whether you trust somebody. Imagine if you had to do that with your wife or with your husband. Do I trust you? Do I not trust you? I mean, it would exhaust you. And that's because you really care about that relationship. And the relationship that we have by Donald Trump is a proxy because of this nation that we live in, the care that we have. And the idea that it's being tossed to and fro from our emotions it really takes its toll on our psyche. So time for me to take some time off from Epstein, but I really can't predict what's going to be happening next. And like I said, at Turning Point, every 3 days of every
It's not going
single
away.
person talking about it. I just don't even know.
It's
what
not
to
going
think
away.
about the whole situation.
I don't think it's going to go away. It's not going to go away until we see some real stuff here. And will we see some real stuff? I don't know. Are they going to wait for maybe a big story to drown this Epstein stuff out? I don't know. Maybe. But I just don't think it's going to go away. I think this is a real black eye on the administration. It's a real sore thumb. And it's just, man, it's just not a good look. I mean,
Alex,
I'm going to get over it. If we never see it, if we never see the Epstein files, I'll get over it. I'll get over it. I mean, that's what am I going to do? I'm not going to just beat myself up over the Epstein files if we never see it. I'll get over it, move on. But it'll always be in the back of my mind. And anytime we talk about the Trump administration, if we talk about in the future or whatever, however much time we have, and we look back at the Trump administration, it's going to be a black eye. That's just what it is.
Yeah, we left off last episode with that White House faith meeting, which wasn't exclusively about Christ, but it was open to all faiths, although dominated by the Christian faith. And that brought me up to a 95%. But after the last few days of paying attention diligently to everything that's going on, I mean, this is where I'm at, 65% of Donald Trump. I wanted to be at 100.
Sorry, I would probably be at about a 51. I'd be at about a 51.
But you don't want one, right? I asked you. Well, in other news...
One's good enough. One's good enough.
In other news, why don't you take this away, Alex?
Yeah, so